Okay, Discovery Trackers, thank you for coming back. We're getting toward the end of a wonderful conference. Hope you had a refreshing lunch. So as I mentioned earlier in the day, little change in your schedule. We will not be having the talk on best practices from Tata Communications and Net Insight. Something happened, they couldn't swing it. They have a booth next door. I don't know why they're not here. That's not my business. What I do know is that Tim Napoleon of All Digital Brevity very kindly stepped in to make sure that we had something useful to fill our time and learn from. He's going to be talking about video workflow as a competitive advantage, and that sounds like it's something that's useful for everyone in this room. Tim, teach us.
So I think it's the first time that a Indian presentation company outsourced to an American company here in the US, so we got that for us. Just kidding. All right. So I think everybody's kind of summarizing a lot of the stats we probably heard over the last few days. Everybody's kind of feeling a little overwhelmed with everything coming at their video workflows. And so whether we're talking about the number of destinations, the number of input formats, the amount of opportunity in the space, and the amount of devices and different formats we're going to need to support in our video workflows, it can seem a little overwhelming. And so what I like to try to think is it's an opportunity to elevate the video operations folks and think of video operations and how fast and how clean and how many devices you can support as a strategic advantage. And so how fast can you make your workflow? How efficient can you make your workflow? And how quickly can you leverage both cloud and on-prem utility to get your video out where it needs to go? So when the video is playing back on the devices, whether those are enterprise customers or consumers, that's ultimately when the company's making money with the video, either in promotion or advertising or subscription revenue or value to the business with education. And so if a video is sitting in some video pipeline still encoding or not playing, you're not making money. And so I really enjoy, when I went to USC, and one of the teachers at USC teaches a class on operational sciences and Q theory. And one of the key tenets of Q theory is how fast can you get through the process. So from end to end, what is your cycle time? And so what I like to think about for video workflows is what's that whole end-to-end time. So when I shoot a production and start camera roll to when I'm playing that asset back and making money with it, what does that look like? And how quickly can I do that? How much velocity can I do that with? And how do I track those KPIs? And then how do I benchmark maybe my competitors and do it even better so that I have a strategic advantage? And so if you look at Jeff Bezos with Amazon, I think he's a very good operational mind. And he saw that in his own cloud instances, he's like, I can get better scale, better cost advantage. I can serve more pages with e-commerce for less money if I get more scale. And so he started AWS as a way to get a lot of scale. And so the same thing with video operations. How can you push as much video as possible through your platform to get as much scale and operational excellence as possible? And so my company, I was co-founder, and our CEO, Michael's in the audience today, is Brevity. And we are All Digital is our website. You can find out more about us, and our product's called Brevity. And Brevity started out with the concept of how do you get footage out of NFL stadiums as quickly as possible so that they can then put it into post and then put it out all to their syndication partners. And one of the key things that we learned, and I'll skip ahead the market sizing there, is that if you combined the fast to file acceleration alongside the video transcoding and workflows, and you leverage as much CPU and GPU technology as possible, you can push a lot more video a lot faster. And so in this quick little animation, what you see here is this is our Brevity client. It could be on the Mac or PC desktop. Talks to a Linux instance that's in the background. And what it does is it takes basically about 300 different types of file formats, broadcast file formats and things, pushes them into the workflows that you define, and moves them out over the network. And what's nice about this system is I didn't have to mention Elemental, I didn't have to mention Aspera, I didn't have to mention Signient, I didn't have to mention trying to figure out permissions and users and rules for both network acceleration and transcoding. I could do all of those at once. And so that's the unique value proposition of Brevity, is you take that operational science of a bunch of different queues and you put them into one queue, and factoring in both delivery, transcoding, and origination all in one process. And so what that allows you to do is be hyper efficient as you deliver files to your partners. And so what we're seeing in the space, it's very critical, is that people are no longer monetizing all of their content on one destination or their own website or their own DVD or things. With digital, you have a very federated output. And so your content's going to multiple partners, and that's increasing every day. So some of our very small studios now are making majority of the revenue outside the United States. And so to do that, they have to syndicate their film to 300 plus locations. And so to do that, they have to then take a file, put it into multiple different formats, and deliver it out to all these different destinations. By doing that with one simple product that manages that whole queue for you, you can scale up that one queue, make it faster, and you can keep the simplicity of just having one API and one system to deal with, not having to bolt together multiple systems. So very, very clean workflow. I think a lot of people in the audience today probably have a set of requirements around what they're looking for in both their video transcoding services as well as what they're looking for in their fast network acceleration. After the show, we'd be happy to give you a more formal demo and walk through all the feature sets of Brevity. It's a very robust product. It's used by one of the largest public agencies that has one of the largest video archives in the world, Smithsonian. Is tied it in with their OpenText product to manage an enormous amount of videos going online for some of the new museums opening. Major studios using very highly sophisticated DAM asset management systems and using Brevity on the back end to transform the media and get it out to all the various locations. So it's got a full feature set, and it compares favorably to a lot of products that cost 5-10 times as much. And so again, I think the goal of our project and how we want to think about this is just to make it simple, accelerate your time to get content to monetize, and then to optimize that process. And then we like to work with a lot of the leading innovative companies like NVIDIA and others to constantly focus on that optimized piece. So when we started with our GPU acceleration, it was probably a 2x improvement over traditional CPU encoding. And with the latest chipsets from NVIDIA that are releasing now, it's up to a 12 times faster than a CPU process. So constantly optimizing that queue, constantly making things faster. Again, on the network acceleration side, our original algorithms were slower than Aspera's. We're now benchmark favorably to Aspera with large video assets. So again, constantly optimizing. So in conclusion, I'll just step through an actual kind of thinking process that we have. So if you think about that operational science of, I've got a video asset that's coming off my Avid or Edit or my Final Cut or Adobe Premiere Edit Bay, I now need to move that into a process that makes it available for ABR or adaptive bitrate. You probably heard of that term a lot this week. There's all these steps with these other products. So you've got to upload the product, and then it's got to wait in a queue to then go in the next transcoding piece. And so we call that a wait time. And then you have separate services to contract and acquire. With the all-digital system, you don't have that queue to wait. The system will automatically move files over the network accelerated and then move it into available resources on your favorite cloud or your on-prem encoders that run the Brevity software. So again, you save money on the overall encoding process, you save time on the overall network acceleration process. And again, I can talk to you after the show about the licensing model, but there's no per GB licensing model or per minute licensing model in the code. So it makes your operational model in terms of what your costs are very easy to understand, very simple to deploy. So another thing that people really enjoy about the product. So with that, maybe we have a few minutes left. I thought I could take a couple questions and answer if you have any questions from the audience.
All right, first round of applause for Tim for stepping up, teaching us about delivery. Talk about Brevity. That was a quick one. We got a lot of time for questions now. Who's got a stumper for Tim? Maybe something specific for your own use case?
So let's talk to Lee Baker back there. Lee Baker works at a high-profile CDN. And Lee, so do you ever have clients now that are trying to upload ProRes or other types of file formats that CDNs aren't really ready for distribution? So would we prefer as a CDN getting a certain file spec into your media applications?
Yeah, we do occasionally run into customers that have workflow issues with not only speeds, but different file formats and trying to determine what the best way to get that out to their global audience is. So every customer seems to be having a different set of requirements as far as what file formats they want to push out and how fast they want to get it out there. And there never seems to be one end-to-end solution out there that you can point somebody to. It seems like there's a lot of different facets to get that content prepared. What do you guys typically do as far as the value proposition for a customer that says, gee, what's the best practice for us to get our content out to our end users?
Absolutely. So we've pre-integrated with many of the favorite CDNs like iWinds, and so it's a location in our product. And so we've worked with the product management teams at those companies to say, okay, what is your segmenter, or what is your CDN like as a source file for delivering over the CDN? And so instead of having to try to guess that or R&D that, you can just select those templates that are optimized for that distribution. You pick them as your workflow, you pick your location, which is in this case iWinds, and you drag in your file that's coming out of ProRes or whatever. You don't have to kind of know what's inside the baseball. I always say you can teach people how to fish, or you can eat at Nobu. I prefer eating at Nobu. So you just drag that file in there, and boom, it lands on Lee Baker's global network in the right file format, ready to deliver, and hopefully faster than it would take from, okay, now we got to upload it to this bucket, to that bucket, back to this bucket, back to that system, over to this system, copy that file into that system, and manage that whole process. It's now just a simple drag and drop. It's now available, and we have an API and callbacks. So those links that are now playable on iWinds go into your favorite CMS, or a lot of people are using Drupal and WordPress and things like that to play back their video front-end presentation layer.
Very good. We got anything else here?
We got some ad people in the audience, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about an ad workflow here. One of the things that's my biggest pet peeve in the ad industry is that if you look on a typical, we work with a lot of major publishers, and so you look at a publisher and they're calling what's called a VAST ad tag. And so they call a VAST, which is a descriptor document for what assets are there that play back the creative when you call an ad call. And believe it or not, we see on a typical iPad app using something like a double click for managing your inventory, that those ads are supposed to come back as a video file that can be playable. But a lot of the agencies and creatives don't understand how to check in their assets into their VAST tags. So they're literally routing and trafficking Swift files or Flash assets instead of properly formatted video assets. And so what that does is it kind of breaks the entire industry, because what happens is you get slow loading ads, you get ads that crash apps, you get a bunch of things that are wrong with the industry. And so one of the use cases that we're seeing a lot of agencies like Del Playa Media and others use Brevity for is they're training the creative teams that when they're done with a video asset, instead of trying to say, okay, we need you to do these 30 things to traffic this ad, they simply can drag and drop Brevity into the system, and then our callbacks go into the trafficking systems. And all the different renditions you need for playback on iPhone, iPad, and everything that would be the optimal mobile playback experience get checked into the VAST tag. And actually in the VAST specification, there's rules that are in that tag that allow for these devices to play back the right format and the right ad. And by creating those renditions and checking them in correctly in that VAST tag, you instantly have your campaign available to a lot more people. So again, that smoother workflow, that cleaner workflow, that not having to R&D that, but just simply drag and drop a video file in there, having your VAST export, you now can increase your video ad inventory tremendously. And if you talk about things like real-time bidding and all of these different kind of complexities that are added to the ad system, having a valid asset that actually plays and plays quickly after all that decisioning is done is even more important. And so one of the leading economic drivers of our entire industry is online video ads. And so having publishers and everybody that have good, clean inventory is really, really important. And again, with the complexity of real-time bidding and some of these other things, it's not like the old days where you would specifically traffic one file on Hulu or something. You're potentially, as an agency, checking in thousands of assets a week, and the system makes it a lot easier for your agencies and creatives to participate in that. And then as big brands, if you're a Nike of the world, you may be dealing with something in the neighborhood of 10,000 digital agencies that manage your brand. Having standardization where you say, okay, when you ingest content, you do it through a Brevity engine, it makes the whole process smoother. It makes your operations more strategic and scale. So again, trying to normalize all these different video possibilities with a product like Brevity is definitely a best practice. So get a hold of us. We're at alldigital.com. I'm Tim. Happy to give you a card, talk further about your workflow. We've got some customers here you can probably talk to too. And we'd love to sign you up. So our product is super easy. You can double click and install it from the Amazon store and get started there. You can get the same thing from Azure. Or you can just call us directly and we'll set you up with a trial account and you can start taking advantage of the system immediately.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you. And we will resume at 2:10. Thanks, everybody. This is James Field, and he is a product manager for Cisco, and he's going to tell you about supercharging your revenue streams. And stay till the end for that chance to win. James?
Thanks, Troy. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sure you're here for more than just the chance of winning a set of headphones. I'm here really to sort of open your eyes to the product that I'm the product manager of at Cisco. When you think Cisco, you tend to think kind of routing, switching, internet kind of stuff. You don't think video. I'm here to change your mind and encourage you to know that we have an OTT and streaming product at Cisco, which is amazing. I'm going to give you a very quick demo. I know it's a short session. We do have a booth out in the exhibition hall just next door to here, 306. You can't miss it as soon as you go in the door. And we'd be delighted to give you a longer introduction. So, first of all, I want to give you a very quick agenda here. The dynamics of video are changing. What used to cost a huge amount of money to produce professionally and get out to your audience has now changed. Now everyone can be their own broadcaster. A new class of video systems delivery is needed. It's got to be cloudy, it's got to be scalable, it's got to be different, and it's got to be able to address the audience needs. And Infinite Video is the platform that at Cisco we've developed, and we acquired a company about a year ago. We've now taken a little scrappy startup. We've made it very robust, we've made it secure and scalable, and we've added in far more devices as well, which is important if you're at risk of missing out on revenue through reaching your audience on every device, and we'll see that in a second. The video market, you've probably seen some references at, I know the keynote yesterday from Roku references our Cisco Video Networking Index. Pretty much by 2020, everything's going to be running in the cloud, or 86%, big proportion. There'll be 11 billion video devices around the world, or video-capable devices. And the number one thing which most people look at is 82% of all internet traffic will be video by 2020. That's clearly not all going to be broadcast video or video on demand. It's going to include the FaceTimes, the Skypes, the instant messaging protocols, security cameras, those kind of things, but it's still video. So it's a huge and important part of Cisco's infrastructure is to make sure that we are guarding video and looking after it and being good custodians. I'm from a business unit in Cisco with about 4,000 engineers dedicated to video. It's called Service Provider Video Software and Solutions, and I'm in the cloud group. So this new class of platform, it's got to be delivering pretty much over any network, so any cloud, any network. You've got to have that really great video experience, so whether that's variable bit rate, whether it's optimized on the platform you're on, optimized for the network you're on, it's important that that works really well. And world-class SaaS, it's got to be important that you can scale that wherever you are in the world, whichever network you're on, whichever country you're in. When you're going to be delivering that service, you expect to have a reliable service. Video today in the cable world is kind of a lifeline service. You don't expect to turn on your TV and get a blue screen of death or something. You want to have something which is satisfying. So that's a challenge to deliver over the cloud and over the top, but we know, Cisco's up to that. And lastly here, uncompromising security. If you're a content owner and you license that content to people, you're going to probably put fairly strict requirements on that, not just for viewing quality, but also digital rights management or content protection, where that content's going to be staged. Maybe there could be some sovereignty as well. You want to make sure it's in the right place. And to make sure that you get paid for every view of that content and that people can't just rip it off and put it on some illegal restreaming site. So that's something, again, Cisco takes a lot of care of, and we have a lot of solutions in that space, whether that's through native DRMs, our own DRM, or just through network security protocols. It's a multi-device world out there, and this is a key part of my offering for Infinite Video Platform, is if you're trying to reach, say, everyone in this room, who in this room's got an Apple TV? Got a few people. Anyone in here with a Roku? A few more. Fire TV. So already, that's just 3 devices, right? If I wanted to put my program out there and to reach everyone in the room, I'd have to be on 3 devices. Now, you can see from the list here, we've also got games platforms. People are using PlayStation and Xbox as their primary viewing for media today. We've also seen a lot of us here have got handheld devices, mobile phones, we've got laptops, tablets. And then there's the smart TV universe, highly fragmented, but again, you want to reach people on those platforms. And those streaming players as well. And of course, the set-top box, it's not going away. And Cisco's Infinite Video platform enables you to publish and have a workflow, which means with a very light operational overhead, you can really target your content to reach all of those devices. And as a simple managed service. So let's take a look at the platform. I'm going to just show you a live demo in the few minutes we have here. So this is what we call Uplink, which should be coming in a second when I get this on the screen. One second. When I switch browsers here. There we go. So here we have Uplink. This is a portal that you as a content owner or new media provider would get access to. And you can see here I've called my brand MediaMax, so it's little pun here on Netflix. It's like Netflix for millennials, half-hour movies and 2-minute TV shows. You're going to upload a logo. I've got a very imaginative Cisco logo here. And then you're going to go in and decide how to monetize your service. I promised I'd tell you how to supercharge your revenue streams. Now, you may be going out there simply to get through advertising, in which case you wouldn't have a billing system. You could choose to use App Store billing, so then you'll be paying the store tax, typically 30%. Or you could go direct credit card billing. We support Stripe and bringing in other providers such as Evergent is one here, which provides a self-care, self-managed platform where you can offer on a web page, skinny bundles, as we might say. We've got a lot of customers deploying these where you pay $2, $3, $4, $5, even as much as $20 a month to get access to the service, or you can subscribe for a year. So we enable all those models. And then there'll be other things. So you expect, again, the Netflixization of the world, you expect to be able to pause on your mobile phone and then sit back in front of your Roku and resume the same content. That requires some server-side smarts, which is going to remember where you paused. We can do that for you, or if you want to host that service, we can do that as well. Same for favorites, same for things like entitlement checking. Are you entitled to watch this particular piece of content or not? Should you pay to subscribe to it? Many of our customers start on YouTube. They realize that their advertising revenue is mostly going to Google, so they decide, okay, I want to do that myself. You can use your own DFP server or any VAST2-based advertising solution to own your own advertising to keep all that revenue. Then they decide we'll do some freemium offering, so we'll start doing some content is free, but then they put a paywall in place. If you want to watch the longer content, you can do that. And then they potentially go into a full subscription service. And we have the ability to self-navigate and self-provision that yourself as we go along. So here we have search we support as well. So you can search. Many of the platforms now support voice search. We're integrated with federated search. So if you want to appear when someone hits the Siri button on their remote and says, show me my great content, we can make that happen as well. And we support series, parental ratings, all the things you'd expect from your average pay TV service today. Next thing, you've got to get your content in place. We offer the ability to literally upload your content in the mezzanine format. You can do that directly from your computer, limited in file size. You can do it from Amazon's S3 if you have it in Amazon already. We are all hosted in Amazon for Cisco's Infinite Video. We'll do the encoding for you for free. You just send us the mezzanine formats and we'll encode that for you for your VOD. If you already have an existing content management system, we can synchronize that through a feed. So if you publish maybe every day your workflows, you add new content to your library, you can just add that feed and we will automatically synchronize that along with the metadata associated with it. So if I look at an individual asset here, and I've got a whole bunch of assets here, both live and on demand. If I look at one here for, say, Vancouver, Canada, you can see things you might expect. Here's a thumbnail, a title, a synopsis. We've also got a windowing date. You may choose to only make content available between a certain time and another time. This one's been imported, so there's an asset ID from an existing content management system. And things like age ratings, media credits for artists and directors, and you can then make that searchable. You can make it an episode. You can define categories depending exactly on your platform to optimize the presentation of that service. You can restrict or allow by country. Again, don't think the internet knows no boundaries, so you can market your content around the world wherever you have the rights, and you can restrict individual assets by country. And indeed, we do that down to zip code here in the US. One of our customers is DirecTV Sunday Ticket. They use us on 3 or 4 devices for the subscription service, and they need this to make sure that you can only watch the content when you're not near the stadium. As you're probably familiar, you can't do that. We support subtitles, and here we have a direct play link. It's just a manifest file. If you want to do your own encoding and use your own CDN, that's fine as well, or we can provide that for you. It's very much full service or light touch, depending on how you want to take it. When you've got all your assets in there, then it's simply a matter of arranging those assets on the menus, and this would be the actual menu hierarchy that would appear on each of the devices. So for instance, if I wanted to move like movies to the top of the menu hierarchy, I just simply move it up there. And then if I look in movies, we have, in Halloween was recently, I could put Halloween near to the top. Foreign movies, let's say I want we're doing a promotion on Korean movies, I'll put them near the top of the list as well. So you're able to curate the content, and this will happen on every device. So the next really cool thing, I mentioned every device to supercharge those revenue streams. Click on devices. Now here you can see a sort of laundry list of devices. And we're actually enabling you to build native applications, or native branded applications on any of these devices without writing a single line of code. So let's just look at, say, Apple TV 4. Now what you need to have here is someone who can provide some artwork or design assets. So here I've very imaginatively put some Cisco Infinite video assets together, but of course this would be where you'd represent your brand. And you can see here there's quite a few assets you need to provide. We tell you the size of them, what type of format you need to provide them in. And then for each category, remember we looked at Korean, you could decide how your Korean category is going to be displayed. So there's lots of options here for Apple TV to really customize your experience to optimize the presentation of your content. And once you've done that, it's simply a matter of clicking build, and then we build that app for you. You can then side load, so that means you can download a particular asset. So you see here it says download, I just click download. It will then invite me to save that somewhere. I'll save it here on my laptop. And you can see here it's downloading a native application. It should be, I don't know how many, it's about 20 megabytes. You can then sideload that with Apple TV Configurator onto an Apple TV in your office. Then you can watch your content displayed your way with your branding on an Apple TV. And then because this app has been deployed by many of our customers already, you can deploy literally in a matter of weeks. We've had some customers deploy in as little as 9 days from coming to a trade show like this and going, this is amazing, I really want this. So you can go from not making money to making money on platforms in as little as 2 weeks. There's one more thing. We also provide full analytics for all these platforms as well. So you can see exactly who's watching, which devices they're watching on. You can look at things like video quality of service. So you can see which service providers you're getting buffering on, which content may be a problem. You can see unique visitors, average visit duration. You can see which particular devices are more popular, which content's more popular on which devices, and really that's where you can curate your content and make the most of your service. We do provide a full knowledge base as well, so my ideal customer can self-provision. There's no need, Cisco doesn't come and say, okay, great, we'll do a large custom engagement and we'll charge you lots of money to do the integration. We provide a very simple self-service portal, which you've just seen a snippet of. We provide a support team via WebEx to help you get online. You just need to provide a project manager, a content lead, and a designer. So no coders, nothing like that. And then you can basically launch on these different platforms. We call it Uplink. That was the platform we looked at just now over here. And the product's called Cisco Infinite Video. So I welcome any questions you might have. And if you want a longer demo, I know I've gone through really quickly. We support pretty much any feature you might think you might need to do as either a live or on-demand video provider. And your questions we welcome.
Round of applause for James. Impressive. It's all so easy.
It is. It's too easy. There we go.
You
What
can
thought
reach
was-
all these platforms and
you
make
thought-
money.
You thought it was difficult. You thought, how can I do this?
I thought I knew what Cisco was about. This changes everything. They're not some boring
There's
switch
never been
company.
a better time, Troy.
What's that?
There's never been a better time.
This is the moment. And this is the moment to ask questions. All you who want to make some money, reach multiple platforms, who wants to make money?
It's called Infinite Video, is the name of the platform.
Okay, good question. What is the name of the product?
The cost, it starts for the list price is $15,000 a month to be on these platforms. So that would be, if you were to develop on one platform, it would probably cost you that similar amount of money. You can be on 10 platforms for that price without having the overhead of hiring customers, and do it in a very few weeks as well, as opposed to having to wait, do an RFP, wait 3 months, get some code done, submit it to the store to find that it's refused because it doesn't meet the guidelines. This is a really quick and easy process. 15.
Big difference.
And that's if you make a commitment to a longer period of time, it costs less. So.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? Well, if you think of something later, Cisco